Hey, Dr. Calarco, why might doctors deny chronic pain patients opioids?
In the current meta, what we live, there's been a real crackdown by state and federal regulatory agencies on prescribing pain medications. A lot of providers would be very worried because it goes into a national database, a state and national database, and if they prescribe too many, even for reasons, they can sometimes be audited. It's a real hassle. So they have that fear of like state and federal repercussions. The DEA can come up, knock at your door at any time, and they could want to see your records and question you. That's very real, okay? The second thing is there's really onerous documentation that's required now for several controlled medicines, not only opioids. You have to go check a state database. You have to make documentation that you did the state database. You have to do it in particular, and these are requirements. These are laws as a healthcare professional. You have to go in and do all these things and do it on a regular basis anytime you prescribe these medications, and even for refills. So there's that kind of onerous obligation that you have to do. It takes a lot of time, okay? Third, there's always the concern when you prescribe opioids for somebody that you're going to get them physically dependent, which is very common, right? So deal with that. But also we worry that we might trigger an underlying addiction that's not really, that they didn't know about. Maybe runs in the family somewhere, and that's the last thing we want. We want to do help, we don't want to do harm, but sometimes it's very hard to know. And of course, this happened in the past where healthcare providers, doctors in particular, kind of overprescribed opioid medications and got a lot of people, addicted to them inadvertently. So now we're on the other extreme end of the spectrum where state and federal agencies are really looking hard at that and hold us accountable. So there's that. Then you have also the risk of diversion. If you give opioid pain medications to somebody, prescribe them as needed, people will divert. And I've been fooled myself. I had a really nice grandma in her 70s who had medical conditions. I prescribed her opioids way back in the day, and I found out she was selling them on the street because they're really profitable. So there's always that concern. And then finally, and lastly, it's really hard sometimes to quantify what chronic pain is. Certainly there are many, many people who have legit chronic pain for which opioids may be appropriate. But when people come to our office, sometimes it's really hard to know. Like, it's a subjective scale. What's your pain on a scale of 1 to 10? Well, some people have a hangnail and they call it a 10 out of 10. Where other people, and then people could have a major laceration with a finger hanging out and they say it's only like 7 out of 10. So it's very subjective. And so we don't have a lot of good objective metrics to know if the person's really having chronic pain or not. Okay, and that's why we have pain specialists now that can help dig a little deeper. But that's always a concern. Would we prescribe an opiate to somebody and they really don't have chronic pain? Maybe they have pain, and they think it's chronic, but it wouldn't meet criteria. So those are all the reasons. Be sure to follow us for more recovery and addiction information. If you're struggling and need help, contact us in our profile today.